Hello, it's Lisa Hiles, and I'm here with lesson 40 of my B1 course for intermediate level learners, for those of you with an IELTS score of between 4 and 4.5. How are you today? I'm pleased to hear that. I'm fine, thank you. So, lesson 40 is a review lesson. It's a chance to look again at the vocabulary and grammar that we've covered in lessons 36 to 39. So there'll be 4 extra tasks, and it's a great opportunity to test your knowledge and to review the language studied in these earlier units. Let's have a look at task 1. Task 1 is about the present perfect simple when we contrast it, so when we use it differently to the past simple. Okay, here I have written 8 sentences. 4 are correct, 4 are incorrect, they're wrong. Can you tell me which ones are correct, which ones are wrong, and correct the mistake? So let's look at number 1 as an example, okay? I've been to Italy 5 times. Is that okay? I've been to Italy 5 times. Okay, it's not correct. It should be I have been to Italy 5 times. I've been to Italy 5 times. Okay, so the have auxiliary is missing there, contracted to I've. Okay, number 2, I've never visited Dubai, but I'd love to. Correct or incorrect? Number 3, I did plenty of sport last weekend. Number 4, I did a lot of overtime so far this month. Overtime is when you have to work extra hours at work because it's a busy time, but you get paid. Yep, I did a lot of overtime so far this month. Number 5, he's travelled abroad for work many times. Correct or incorrect? 6, I've met my husband in 2001. 7, have you found your perfect partner yet? And number 8, I've become a teacher when I left university. Stop the slide there if you need more time to think about which are right, which are wrong, and how to correct the ones that are wrong. If not, here come the answers. So we know number 1 is wrong. It should be I've been to Italy 5 times. Number 2, correct. Number 3, correct. So let's look at the differences. Yep. I've never visited Dubai, but I'd love to. So we're talking about my experience, something that I could change in my life. Yep. Up to now, I haven't been. Up to now, I don't visit Dubai, but in the future, maybe. So I've never visited Dubai, but I'd like to is correct. Last weekend, past time, finished action. I did plenty of sport. Number 4, I did a lot of overtime so far this month. So far this month is time that isn't finished yet. This month, there's still some month left. It's unfinished time. So I've done a lot of overtime so far this month would be the correction. He's travelled abroad for work many times. Talking about life experience, correct. Number 6, I've met my husband in 2001. That's wrong. It should be I met in 2001, specific time in the past. You meet once. Okay, both finished actions. Have you found your perfect partner yet? Correct. And I became a teacher when I left university. Okay, we're talking about a past period when the action happened. So that was from Unit 36. So if you have still some questions, you can go back to Lesson 36. You can look at the quiz for Lesson 36, or you could look in a grammar book for the present perfect simple versus the past simple to help you. Okay, let's go on to the next task. Task 2 is using adverbs when we are relating stories, when we're talking about anecdotes, talking about our own stories, life stories, okay, to make our stories more interesting. And we had the adverbs from some of the adverbs from Lesson 37 were surprisingly, suddenly, finally, gradually, obviously, unfortunately, and immediately. So if you're not sure on the meanings of those, stop the slide here and look them up in a dictionary or look them up online. Here we go. The class were completely silent. My phone rang and everyone stared at me. Number 2. My gran and I were very close. She died just before I had my first child. Number 3. I found learning to drive very difficult. After many attempts, I passed my test last year. Number 4. I had many friends when I lived in Italy, but over the years, I've lost touch with them. Number 5. I was disappointed when I didn't get the promotion I wanted. Yeah, promotion, so that job at work that gives you more responsibility and more money, a promotion. Number 6. When I saw the elderly lady fall down, I ran over to check she was okay. And finally, number 7. My dad has a bad memory. However, he remembered to buy my mum some flowers on their last wedding anniversary. Okay, so you've got to put surprisingly, suddenly, finally, gradually, obviously, unfortunately, or immediately in the gaps. Stop the slide now if you need more time. If not, let's have a look at the answers together. The class were completely silent. Suddenly, my phone rang and everyone stared at me. So when something happens quickly and it's a surprise, a shock, suddenly, yeah, it's not expected. Suddenly my phone rang and everyone stared at me. Number 2, my gran and I were very close. So we had a very close relationship. Unfortunately, she died just before I had my first child. Number 3, I found learning to drive very difficult. After many attempts, I finally passed my test last year. It's not true, actually, but it's a good sentence. Number 4, I had many friends when I lived in Italy, but over the years, I've gradually lost touch with them. So something that happens slowly over a long period of time, gradually, slowly, I've lost touch. So I'm not in contact with any of my Italian friends now. Number 5, obviously, I was disappointed when I didn't get the promotion I wanted. Yep, obviously. Clearly. When I saw the elderly lady fall down, I immediately ran over to check that she was okay. So when something happens straight away, you can say immediately. The lady fell down and straight away, really quickly, I immediately ran over to check she was okay. I didn't wait. And the last one. My dad has a bad memory. Surprisingly, however, he remembered to buy my mum some flowers on their last wedding anniversary. So it was a surprise for my mum, which is always good, isn't it? Okay, let's look at task 3. Task 3 is from lesson 38, and it's the past when we use the past simple and when we use the past perfect. Okay, so remember, both of them talk about the past. Okay, so when an action happened in the past, it's the past simple. We use the past perfect to show something that happened further in the past, or earlier in the past, or before the past simple action. Any questions? Go back to unit 38, lesson 38, and the quiz there. Okay, here we go. So you've got some verbs in brackets, and you've got to decide which one goes in the past simple and which one goes in the past perfect. Okay, what's the auxiliary we use with the past perfect? That's right, it's had, and we need the V3 form for the past perfect. We need the past participle. Of course we do. Here we go. Number 1. By the time we get to the concert, it already starts, so we missed the first song. Number 2, my husband cooked dinner when I arrive home, which was a lovely surprise. Number 3, I only recently passed my driving test when I crash my mum's car. Number 4, I feel confident before the exam because I study really hard. And number 5, I live in Italy for 6 months before my parents come to visit me. Okay. Stop the slide now if you need more time to decide which one has to be in the past simple, which one has to be in the past perfect. Yeah? If not, here come the answers. Number 1, by the time we got to the concert, it had already started, so we missed the first song. Number 2, my husband had cooked dinner when I arrived home, which was a lovely surprise. Number 3, I had only recently passed my driving test when I crashed my mum's car. Number 4, I felt confident before the exam because I had studied really hard. And number 5, I had lived in Italy for 6 months before my parents came to visit me. How did you get on with that? Okay, so you have to think which action happened first. Yeah, and which action happened earlier than that? Which happened? Okay, imagine a timeline. We got to the concert in the past, but just before that, the concert started, so we didn't see the first song. When I arrived home, before my husband cooked dinner, so I came home, sat down and started eating my dinner straight away, which was lovely. Yeah. I did crash my mum's car, so I crashed my mum's car. I passed my test only a little time before, so I had only passed my test recently when I crashed my mum's car. Okay? You always feel confident before an exam if you've studied hard, so I felt confident in the exam because before I had studied a lot, really hard. And I had lived in Italy for 6 months before my parents came to visit me that first time. Okay, past perfect and past simple. Let's have a look at task 4, which is the final task from lesson 39, changing direct speech to reported speech. So changing what you hear in a conversation to reporting it to another person. Okay, here we go. Change the direct speech below into reported speech. Number 1, I'm going to the cinema later. She said she ... Number 2, do you want me to come with you? She asked me ... Number 3, will you help me write this email in English? He wanted to know ... I'll be with you in 5 minutes. She told him ... I've been feeling tired recently. She told her manager ... what? ... Number 6, could I have some time off work? She asked. Number 7, do you want to come to my house for dinner later? She asked him ... And 8, can I bring dessert? He wanted to know ... Okay, let's do the first one together so you know what I want you to do. Number 1, I'm going to the cinema later. She said she was going to the cinema later. Okay, this will take you some time, so you've got to think about the tense change from direct to reported speech. You've got to think about if and whether in questions. You've got to think about the word order of questions, and you've got to think about pronouns, I's, you's, he's and she's. Okay? Good luck. And if you want to know the answers, here they come. So she said she was going to the cinema later. Number 2, She asked me if, or she asked me whether, they're the same, I wanted to go with her to the cinema later. Number 3, he wanted to know if or whether I would help him write that email in English. Number 4, she told him she would be with him in 5 minutes. So I read that more naturally. She told him she would be with him in 5 minutes. Number 5, she told her manager she had been feeling tired recently. So that you can use or not, it's up to you. She told her manager she'd been feeling tired recently. Number 6, she asked if or whether she could have some time off work. Number 7, she asked him if, or she asked him whether he wanted to go to her house for dinner later. So come changes to go there. And 8, he wanted to know if or whether he could bring dessert. Okay, so I'll leave the slide on that so you can write down your answers. Any problems with that, go back to lesson 39 and to the quiz of lesson 39. If you need further help from a grammar book, you can find it under reported speech. Okay? That's the end of my lesson. That's the revision lesson for lessons 30, for units, if you like, or for lessons 36 to 39. So we've looked at present perfect simple with the past simple. We've looked at the past perfect simple with the past simple. We've looked at reported speech, and we've looked at adverbs to add interest to our stories if they're spoken or written. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon, no doubt. Thanks very much. Bye.